I'm currently in the process of putting together a business plan and starting my own bookkeeping practice, which will hopefully develop into accountancy work and then develop into a more fractional CFO sort of service, chief financial officer, helping business with strategy, risk analysis, analysing data, preparing budgets, checking budgets, variances, planning ahead, that sort of thing, which really interests me. However, when I've been doing my research online, one of the things I've come across is the idea of people can just do a certification with a software provider and all of a sudden they're qualified to do bookkeeping. They're qualified to offer those sorts of services. And I've got to be honest with you, as someone who's put a lot of work and effort into studying to get qualified as an accountant technician and as a payroll administrator or payroll manager, it is a little bit frustrating because I've done a lot of these certifications, and if you think that just doing a QuickBooks certification or a Xero certification or a FreshBooks certification, whichever software you want to use, if you think that's going to equip you to provide a bookkeeping service, I I think you need to go back to the drawing board and rethink that, because qualified bookkeepers make big mistakes. And from my experience producing accounts, I can honestly say bookkeepers make a whole host of mistakes, and they're qualified and trained. Now, when you do these certifications with these providers, these software providers, such as QuickBooks, such as Xero, FreshBooks, Sage, etc., when you do these certifications, they're not teaching you bookkeeping. What they're teaching you is how to use their software. That's what their goal is. Their goal isn't to teach you how to be a good bookkeeper, to teach how to be a good accountant. They're teaching you how to utilize their software. So what they don't teach you are things like the accrual concepts, prepayments. They won't teach you concepts like debits and credits. They won't teach you double entry bookkeeping. They won't teach you things such as the cash method or the accruals method. They don't teach those sort of things. That's not the job of these certifications. The job of the certifications is to simply say you are proficient in using our software, and we recognize that you're proficient in using our software. That's all they show. They show you are capable of doing the job for your client on that platform. That's it. They do not show that you're qualified as a bookkeeper. I have stacks of books on bookkeeping and accounting from my studies with AAT. And honestly, it's not easy. People who think bookkeeping is easy, it really is not. It takes a lot of work to be able to do books properly. I am curious if a lot of these people who've got their QuickBooks certification think, great, I'd love to know what would they do with fixed asset register? How would you handle that? What about handling inventory? What are the different methods for handling inventory? Then you say, well, we provide clients with advice as well. I'm like, based off a QuickBooks certification? Oh, it's just common sense. Well, some of it might be, but there's a lot of in-depth stuff that isn't. I mean, the management accountancy exam at level 5 at AAT is really hard. It is incredibly difficult. Many people fail the first time and the second time round. It's an incredibly difficult exam. Why? Because management accounting is a very complex and difficult subject. So to think that you can just come along with your QuickBooks certification and call yourself a bookkeeper and say that you're somehow qualified, honestly, it's laughable. And I just think that anyone who wants to go into bookkeeping or accountancy or finance, it's not going to be enough to just do a QuickBooks certification or a Xero certification. You need to get yourself trained and understanding how it all works. Yes, you can use AI, but you still need to know what's going on and what you're doing, because garbage in, garbage out. It's the same with bookkeeping platforms. It's the same with AI. You still need to have an understanding of the concepts and how it all works and why it works the way it does. If you don't understand double entry bookkeeping, you've got a problem, because the whole concept behind a trial balance relies on double entry bookkeeping. And you need to have an understanding of how to find the errors in double entry bookkeeping. So if the trial balance comes back and it doesn't balance, again, you need to understand debits and credits for this. You won't learn that on your certification for these platforms. You need to understand them. And if you don't understand debit and credits, you don't understand double entry bookkeeping, you don't understand what a trial balance is and how it works, how are you going to know where to look to find errors when it doesn't balance? Because when it doesn't balance, that means there's an error in the accounts. And that's a problem. That can affect tax. So I think it's very important that people who want to do bookkeeping, accounts, going into finance, you need to actually go and do some sort of studying. I'm not saying you've got to go on and become a chartered accountant, but you do need to do some basic level studying at first. You can do a simple course at local colleges. I'm sure it's the same in the US as in the UK. You can go and do basic courses there. You can do online courses. You need to do some sort of basic course, because at the end of the day, you need to have a basic underlying understanding of what bookkeeping is, how bookkeeping works, how it functions, understand some of the terminology and the concepts behind it. Because if you don't, you're going to make a huge mistake and it could cost your client, and your client could potentially sue you. So if you're someone who's interested in going down that path, and you've potentially seen some of these videos that are selling this get rich quick, this quick certification nonsense, honestly, just don't buy it. Yes, certifications have their place. I've got some of them, and yes, they are useful. I'm getting another one right now with another platform provider because I want to know how their platform works and functions so I can help my client with their work. But generally speaking, don't think because you've got a certification from any of these platform providers that you're all of a sudden qualified as a bookkeeper. You're really not. So that's some thought for this video. I only know this because I've been doing some research and I've just stumbled across it. And I just thought, you know what, that's something that I want to talk about on this channel. And this is actually the final video in the 10 video challenge by Iman Gadzhi. And this will be the last one where it's just quite raw and off the cuff. And hopefully I'm going to go back to being more structured. So thank you for watching these, and see you in the next video.